We're back with part 2. Potts, we must be around to try and win our way into the big $250,000 top better tournament. We're a bit luckless, weren't we?
Well, luckless, I suppose. My fault. I got really keen on Jessie Bell, and we shoved all in the place. And of course, she ran 4th, but she had every chance, and she just didn't run up to expectations. So that was really pretty much the end of us. We had something on. We must have had a little bit left because we had something on the horse that the gun got into 2nd place there, press secretary in the last in Sydney. But now we weren't far off, Juppy. We're floating around.
It's a totally different skill set.
Oh, completely. And it's such a great challenge. Like it is good, and especially leading into the big.
DK's handling it beautiful. It's only a matter of time till we finish in the money there. We're like Glenn, we're the maidens that are coming.
Yeah.
Well, DK's not a maiden, is he? He had a win last week. You had a win. On the ground. It's only me holding you two blokes back.
What's going to happen is we're just going to peak at the right time when the 100,000's up for grabs. That's what the first prize is going to be in the 250k tournament during the championship. So make sure you get involved in that. You can win your way through. There'll be more opportunities this week. Good meetings in Sydney and Melbourne to attack. So make sure you jump into that. Boys, let's cast our mind back to last Wednesday out at Sandown, where I love Lee Freeman on Twitter. He speaks his mind, but I had to disagree with him on Wednesday. I'm not sure. The last time I checked, I thought training race horses was an outdoor pursuit. Now, Lee, I'm not sure if you trained.
So you got to say what he said.
Basically, he said the track was a firm 2. It was upgraded to a firm 2. What a disgrace! What happened to the policy where it was meant to start at dead 4 in the morning? Now, Lee, I don't know whether you've been outside for the last 5 or 6 weeks in Victoria, but it hasn't rained very much. It's really, really dry and it's been really hot.
It hasn't rained for 6 months, really.
Well, we've had, they're just tipping irrigation onto these tracks that keep ticking over. They're all racing beautifully.
Not all of them.
No, well, Cranbourne was a tip
but
on
also
Friday.
Sandown Hillside compared to Lakeside has not been racing well. So it's part
and particularly when they had that wide one and they overwatered and then they had a little bit of morning rain, it went to pieces,
But the thing is, and you look at the times, you looked at probably the last couple of Caulfield meetings, on times, were they firm 2 times?
Not so much Caulfield one, but what I'm saying is, you've touched on this. Lee Freeman being on Twitter is fantastic.
It is, yeah.
And more to the point, unlike some, I start going down Matt Stewart territory saying, unlike some, and they're not naming him, I feel bad about that. But Lee uses Twitter to give opinions.
Yes.
Which is fucking ace.
Keep doing that, Lee. We love that.
And the old Bill O'Reilly line about Tom Bradman, don't piss on statues. And Lee is a great, and I have too much respect for him to ever criticise him. But what he's saying in that it's a good 2, the problem with it, yes, it was a good 2. The problem with it, we repeatedly see country track times that are good 2s, and yet they're called good 4s. So my question is to horsemen, and all we do, we're on this side of the fence and we look at computers and times and all that. My question is more the horsemen who say that it's cruel on horses. Colac Cup Day, they were running low 10-second sectionals. Now, either all the Group 1 horses went to Colac Cup Day, or it was a rather firm track, like bitumen style. So let's assume that it was so firm. So was it cruel on the animals?
Ancient King won that. There's a horse that's actually had leg problems, I think.
Exactly. So, and again, who are we to second guess the great Lee Freeman? But that day in the mile, Zlatan ran. And as I'm saying, ran that from the 800 to 200. And this is Vince Accardi's timed to the 100th of a second sectionals off the fucking satellite, and however Vince does it, which is absolutely fastidious, as you can imagine. So it's virtually an F1, not an F2. Zlatan, 5 days later, goes to Moonee Valley and not only wins yours,
he ran very fast time.
The fastest he's ran for 3 years. So
drag Zar Speed into
Zar Speed in the race. Hence me knowing it, I was on Zar Speed, as you probably. So my point being, when we see these bush track times that are concrete, that are faster than they run in the city repeatedly, yet these horses don't break down, my question to the horsemen, like the great Lee Freeman, is how can they be called cruel? How can it be called unfair for the animal. And I've heard blokes like Gerald Ryan and Johnny Hawke say that they love firm tracks because it's actually even better for horses with injuries. And we've seen Rob Waterhouse, who obviously is on both sides of the fence, given these obviously relationship with Gay, but also being one of the premier form students in the country, saying that every study of fast track times are horses back up, but study of wet track times are often they can pull ligaments and do all other types of injuries because of the shifting surface. Yeah. So I just don't see it. And I know you're going with it, Potts, is, but then Lee calls it, which he well entitled to, exactly more than we are, that opinion. But then the mass scratchings.
Yeah, just.
So can I have my sorry boys, because I've been sitting here, I'm just boiling. I'm trying to calm down.
No, that's what we do at the trying, because when you push off the side screen.
So I mean, Lee Freeman can say whatever he likes. That's fine. Yeah. Right. So everyone's going to have an opinion, whatever. That's fine. My problem is with the policy makers. Yes. Okay. Scratchings time is 7:30 in the morning. Okay, we get final scratchings. You assume that from that point on, unless there's some significant incident, there aren't going to be any further scratchings. Seems a reasonable assumption to make. Right. So we send out, my set and the DK and Potts tips to people. So as to use an example, we sent out Buckler as a selection at $8 in the morning, and then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after the first leg of the quaddie, recalculate and the McAvoy horse, I can't remember its name.
Sorry, mate, just a quick one. Recalculate, coming off Colac, which was a firm foot. Yeah.
Two. Exactly. So at 7:30 in the morning, there were 6 scratchings for that meeting. Yeah. There might have ended up being 15 or something. With 10 horses or so were scratched after scratchings time. Yeah. Which is just... my point is that we ended up on a horse, Buckler, at $8, assuming a race that was going to be run above benchmark. And what we ended up with was backing horse at about 280 in a race that was going to be run significantly below benchmark. It's just completely wrong and unfair. So I'm saying the policy as it currently exists is not fair to punters. It's not punter friendly. So I'm saying if your aim is to get rid of punters and to say put them in a frame of mind where they'd rather go and bet on something else, continue with that policy. I'm saying if you want to do something that's friendly to punters, because I can only imagine what people thought that had quaddies. The amount of people that ended up on the sub would have just been outrageous with the number of scratchings in the last 2 races. The trainers know it's a hot day. They know the track routing in the morning. If they don't scratch at 7:30, bad luck. Right. Giving them a second bite of the cherry is completely wrong.
Spot on. Can I have a go here too, because I'm fucking really ginned up about this. I've had enough. Right. Sunday week ago, I went to Sale, and can't remember whether I mentioned it on the show or not. I've spoken to a couple of blokes about it. Sale was a good 3 in the morning, and they put 40 mils on for the week. Yay, for St Pat's Cup Day, had no rain for the week, put 5 mils on, which wouldn't even settle the dust, and it was a good 3. Now, fucking someone explain that to me, because we're all meant to be under the same policy, right? We always talk about self-interest. Lee has self-interest. He's bought the highest priced import with crook feet. He doesn't want to be running that horse on firm ground. Fine. If you don't want to run on firm ground, put them in the paddock and wait for it to rain. But it's the...
Take them to Sydney.
It's the end of a summer. We have drought-like conditions, and I can tell you that because my family's got a property on the other side of Horsham. It hasn't rained there for 5 years. It's a fucking dirt farm. If you don't want to run on firm, it's the same as if I've got a horse that won't go a yard on a wet track, I can't. Or if I've got a dry track jumper, I'm pretty much up shit creek, because how many I might get one go at Bendigo when it's dry in the middle of winter. Other than that, you fucking don't bother with it. It's the same here. You have to place your horses correctly, but don't blue when they upgrade the track, because it's been 35 degrees for 4 days running up to the meeting. And it's 35 degrees during the day. What do you want him to do? Get the hose out in between race 3 and 4 and water the track? I mean, fucking please.
This is sensational. I resigned from RSN because I got sick of being the one coming off the top turnbuckle and they're getting no support. So I just thought, I don't need this kick. I come here expecting to be the irrational one, and you two are just sensational. But it's the easiest job I've ever done.
It just drives me mad. It's like, it's not rocket science.
But by extension, so the great Lee Freeman says that, and then RVL, must have, Lee Freeman spoken, and fair enough that they listen to someone like Lee, but so then they send a stern letter of warning to Sandown. The track was too firm. Here's my fucking question. Okay, just to channel you too, because you're apparently going to be angry at me because you got the guys are firing. 2 weeks earlier, Sandown was a fence-off tip, the hillside track. Overwatered. They clearly got issues there. Yeah. And as we keep saying, Terry Bailey had 10 years of the track being fantastic.
Tim. Terry Bailey's a great caller, but I'm not sure how he could have grown last year.
My apology. So there's clearly some issues since they redid it, the hillside track.
Yeah.
Lakeside track's a great track to bet on. The fastest horses win. So they're obviously putting a lot of water on trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
But when it's a fence-off tip that most punters don't want to bet on because we can't trust it, particularly if it's shifty ground and transfer allowance comes down the outside and thrashes you on tenacity somehow by an eyelash, you go, why am I betting on this shit?
Yeah.
But was there a letter then? No, because, well, apparently it's all right. And yet we, the end users, the customers, don't want that.
No.
Mark Landwood wrote a great article about this on Monday about the focus on the suppliers and not on the consumers. We, the punters, are the consumers of racing. At the moment, you've got these policies. That whole thing is just, if you think about it, Racing Victoria and other bodies, you're allowing, so that meeting last Wednesday, you're allowing Bet365 to put up markets on Monday. Okay, then the other ones chime in on Tuesday, and then we get past scratching time and they're all up on Wednesday, and then subsequent to scratching time, you have an incredible amount of scratch. It's just
fucking
it's
massive.
It really is so. Like, if you ask any punter, is that satisfactory? You'd be struggling to find one that would say that's satisfactory.
And as I've often sent out on Twitter in the previous 4 months, because it's not like me to back over an argument 68 times. But when Pat Bartley wrote the article about the firm Caulfield Guineas track that was cruel, the only horses that managed to come out of the Caulfield Guineas meeting was the subsequent Caulfield Cup winner, Cox Plate runner-up, Myer Stakes winner, Melbourne Cup winner, Oaks winner, Emirates Stakes winner, and I think there was another winner, Group 1 winner.
They were easy to find, though, Rock, because they all drew inside.
But apart from that, the track was too cruel, it was too firm, and all those horses should have been retired.
One more thing on Lee. He has got form in this issue, because if you go back and look at like the last 10 or 15 Derby days, the fastest Derby day we ever saw was 2005. That track was lightning. Yet, mysteriously on the Tuesday, when a certain mare was going for a third cup, there was plenty of water on the track. So...
I mean, full credit to Lee for
at least he's having a dip.
He's trying to get what he wants for our Ivanhoe or whatever his other, maybe he's got a stable full of horses with
crook feet,
whatever, but at the end of the day, it's not about Lee Freeman. It's about the policymakers. Yeah. They're the ones that have got to accept this. I can guarantee you, whoever, let's just say Bernard Saundry, because he's the chief. Yeah. Every one of our subscribers last week would have been filthy. Every one of them. And every punter that took a quaddie on Wednesday would have been ropeable.
And they're the ones that will take their discretionary spending somewhere else. Now, speaking of Bernard Saundry plots, we did get a bit of follow-up from last week where we spoke about the minimum bet rule and if they want to change the SPs, they're doing a review about that at the minute. Richie Irvine from Sydney got in touch with me on Twitter, so thanks for that, Richie. He wrote a very well-written, well-worded email letter to Bernard Saundry, and we will tee it up. Either BZ's going to go and have a chat with him, or when he comes to Melbourne, we're going to have him on the show down here to have a chat with Richie. So that's something to look forward to.
That'd be great.
It makes a lot of sense, and I know that Snowy's got a small shrine to him in his office.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Richard's stuff. It's just he speaks extremely well on behalf of punters.
He does, but this is where I tend to cut through some of this stuff. Is because I don't know the guy, but I read his stuff and I think, well, you know what you're talking about in your field.
Yeah.
But what he's not saying is the bigger landscape. And I've banded with him on Twitter previously. When he first started, he said, we're discussing with RVL and all the communications. RVL, Windscreens O'Brien should sponsor him because they've got a window and they're going to look into it. Nothing gets fucking done when it comes to actually, if they wanted it done, they would have got it done, the minimum bid rule. They wanted it, they would have. Their main sponsors are corporate bookmakers at the moment. They set up this multi-million-dollar arm, Racing.com, which is all part of getting corporate bookmakers on side and having the blue with Sky Channel owned by the tab. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying who's right and wrong, by the way. I'm not taking sides. I don't give a fuck. I just, like you, we want the fastest horse to win and we want to be on them. That's our self-interest. But that's the reality. So the landscape is Peter V'landys, with the full backing of the tape, could say, bugger you corporates, you have to bet a price.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you brag about some punter having $10,000 at $5 when we know full well that if a smart punter rang up and wanted to have $100 at $5, you would have said, well, we'll let you have $10 at 3, whatever. But in Melbourne, RVL, the landscape's different, and no one's prepared to take on the corporate bookmakers from RVL as we speak, and that is fact until I see differently.
The disagreement I've got with you, Ralph, is that surely, you tell me if you think I'm wrong.
Yep.
It would surely be a goal of Racing Victoria to maximise turnover.
Yeah.
So the restrictions, the restrictions to betting are holding turnover back. Now I understand that, it's helping pad the profit margins, not necessarily the profit dollars, but the profit margins of, some of their corporate partners. But, all I want is everyone to be able to bet within certain rules. Okay, so I'm not necessarily saying that it should be one-way traffic and it should be open slather on the corporates. There just should be. Racing Victoria's got to take control of the rules that grease the flow of money and getting money moving around.
You're spot on. But as Glenn Pollitt once said, it is morally totally unethical for there rightfully to be a rule where you can't discriminate service against someone because of their colour, sexual preference, creed, beliefs or anything, but you can, in this landscape, discriminate against someone because they're smart. Yep. Now that is just wrong. But to take your point further, what you're talking about is a utopian goal, an end goal of getting turnover up.
What's good for everyone?
No, hang on, no. So I'm saying you're 110% right. But what I'm saying is, this is their current landscape. They've spent a shitload of money on racing.com, the whole landscape.
Well, they've spent a little bit more today, Ralph, because they've signed BZ. They've pinched in from us.
Correct. So, how big is their wage bill? So, they're saying, well, increasing turnovers over there, here's where it is over here. We've spent a lot. Crown Bet have paid this much to be on there all the time. Plus Bet365, William Hill, Sportsbet, and I suppose Ladbrokes and the others are giving us money to have our vision on their website and on the tablet and all that. So there's this pot here, and what you're talking about is ideally. So what I'm saying is that the actual business landscape now, they're not gonna do one thing to upset a corporate bookmaker compared to the greater good of the sport at the moment.
Yeah, look, I guess, unless you're actually looking at their bottom lines, well, I don't know what exactly is feeding their bottom line.
Well, I know
whether it's fair, whether it's returns on wagering, or whether it's sponsorship deals, or whatever the arrangements are with corporate.
Any startup business, most of the expenditure is starting up.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I reckon in time they'll bring it in. Maybe it's 5 years, but at the moment, all they need is the money to cover all this. Because the one thing they won't do, I'm waiting, if everything's so fantastic now, prize money will go through the roof. Cut it. This is why I don't listen to these interviews anymore, because they're all full of shit. All of them. The only way to cut through the bullshit is look at prize money. When prize money goes up, I know the sport's flying. Until that, the sport's not flying.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking to us to a degree. Okay, so I mean,
through their window,
DK and Andrew Twaits are going to be sitting down together to have a look at some of those issues, and I can promise you one thing, Andrew and Bernard, we won't stop carrying on about it and trying to get as much attention on it as we can until it's fixed, because all we're asking for is a reasonable set of rules to cover wagering.
Just get a cat video while you're talking.
No. I found something even better that Ozbet's tweeted out, and there's hope for your good horse too now, Ralph.
Which is?
Another one.
Oh, yes. Yeah, off the track.
The Singapore champion Rocketman trials this morning, coming back as a 10-year-old. Hasn't raced since winning the Lion City Cup in 2012. Now, weren't we talking about horse welfare a moment ago? There's still hope for another one. In fact, we better hop in the car and head out to Living Legends now, because there might be a few more out there we can round up.
Go give him a pat.
It's
anyway, that's it. We dealt with last Wednesday. What else have we got, Jubby?
Week ahead.
Week ahead. Oh yeah. So let me just let me go over the week behind before we go to the week ahead. Not a great week for the DK and Potts team. We got off to a terrible start on Wednesday and just couldn't climb back. So we lost 25 units for the week, which leaves us. However, on the upside, we've completed our first month. So we've done 4 weeks. We've won 31 units at a profit on turnover of 11%. So for our first month, that's a pretty solid return, and we're confident we can build strongly on top of that. For my own sets for the year, had a bit of a dusty few weeks really, just hovering around. Anyway, for the year since January 1, plus 30 units at a 2% profit on turnover. So they are not results that I'm happy with. So I'm looking forward to having a very strong March.
Who's the horse to follow from last Saturday?
Last Saturday. No, not from me.
Well, it's going out, isn't it? I read that in the paper because I don't listen to anything.
What?
Yeah, I think they said it was qualified for Melbourne Cup, so
they're not going to have a go at the Adelaide Cup.
No, we got real love and
interesting. Is it
Jerry Ryan?
Like
I would say a good horse to follow from Saturday's meeting. Probably not second up, probably third up is Hijack Hussey.
That race, because it was slow, is usually a trap. But when you see a sprint like that, I want to be in one on it. So that Kiwi horse, Miss Seaton Sands, bonus win, moral next
bonus
time.
win. Yeah, no.
But when it's on a fast 400,
we've got some context about her now. So, and in the long term, I think Tom Melbourne's a horse with a lot to offer. So
is my vault bet.
Yeah.
Tom Melbourne Group 1 winner.
Yeah, no, I think he certainly, that wouldn't be out of the question. He's got a lot of ability, that horse.
Okay, so you're doing your set for Ballarat tomorrow, Potts?
So what I'm doing is, there'll be a full set for Ballarat tomorrow, and just to get the value right into it for our midweek subscribers, I'll also be covering at least half of the races at Pakenham on Thursday night.
I'll be there at both
so
meetings.
you'll get both for the normal Wednesday.
Can we get the 4 of us together ever again?
Yeah, we might be able to. Well, DK goes on holiday every other week.
Dan.
So we've got full set for Ballarat tomorrow. There's Pakenham will be there in Wangaratta if they've got power on Thursday. Ararat and Cramden on Friday, so there'll be DK and Potts for that stuff. Flemington Saturday, boys, you'll have runner by runner analysis. And you'll have a full set 2 Potts, and we've also got Eaton Hope Cup Day, Hinnamungy Cup Day, Towong, because it's a long weekend.
With no water on the track.
Mildura Cup Day this Sunday. That's been moved from the middle of the year because they want to try and capitalise on the long weekend. It's also Stony Creek Cup Day and Moonee Valley on Monday.
Yeah, which I'll almost certainly be doing Moonee Valley on Monday. So, as long as it's a reasonable meeting, I think everyone will want me to do it, so I will.
You're doing the what is it? What's the jump off the bridge called?
Oh, the Birdman Rally.
Rally?
I'll be at the track. I've just had a look there. We've got 6 meetings in the next 7 days that I've got to get to.
All the best.
So there's plenty to come, punters, so make sure you jump on one to follow, racetrackralphie.com. We'll be back this time next week and we'll be equally ginned up and disappointed and hot. All right, boys. We'll see you next week.